Okay, welcome to part 6 of the R4 Dome. Been a little bit of time since I'd last done some work on this model, but I think today what we want to do is we're going to have some detail across the top. I'll probably add detail on 1 or 2 panels, and then hopefully what we'll add is I'll add a little bit of a base to this top ring with the final plan, I hope, to have something that we can export to a single print STL, and then at the next one I'll show you a little bit more on how we actually start to cut that up. So as always, make sure we're in the model environment. I think all of the presets are there from last time anyway, and I'm just going to do what I want to do now is just a little bit of segment stuff on the top of here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I will click a sketch, click project. And what I'm going to do is on the top of here, I'm just going to project that shape so you can see it now. If we click OK, what that's done is it's basically created a sketch that's exactly the top of that body, which you can see. The reason for that is if I go into sketch and offset now and click on that sketch, I can actually bring it in. So it makes a very quick and easy way of actually doing the detail that I want to do, just to add some paneling on the top. So I'm going to bring that in by 18mm. Just a number at random. Okay. And then what I want to do now is I want to do some segment lines, just so that it gives a little bit more of a separate set of segments. So if I go to the sketch and the line, and I'll take a line from that point right the way through to the middle, just one line, and click tick. So now I have a line that goes from there to the center point on here. One of the things that does concern me a little bit with Fusion is, for whatever reason, sometimes it's very slightly off. So you've got to watch this, because when I do that center line there, you can see if you look at that degree piece, it's 90.1 degrees, which I don't like really, to be honest. So I'm just going to do a 90 degree just to tidy it up a little bit. Move it to the center and click that one there. Okay. Now the next thing, I'm going to use the offset again. So I'm going to click on offset. I'm going to click on that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset that again, 9mm, because we did 18, that's half. And then I'm going to set the same line again, sketch, offset, minus 9mm. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is delete that middle one. Delete, gone. So what you've got now, as you can see, is kind of a line that's 18mm with an 18mm gap here. And then what I'm going to do is select the 2 lines there, and I'm going to go sketch and circular pattern, and the center point I'm just going to select in the middle there, and it will default to 3. So obviously we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So change that to 6 and click OK. So now, as you can see, I've now got my little panels here, which is all quite cool. So now I'm thinking what I actually want to do is offset them panels again by 1.5mm, so it matches similar gaps to what we see here. I'll just click on inspect and measure that to that face, and that tells us it's 1.644. So it's just so if you've done detailing before, you can check some of the gaps that are on there to see so that the model appears fairly standard. 1.54 is a standard gap that I use, so I'm going to do 1.54. So what I really want to do now is I want to create offsets of these triangles here. So if I do sketch, offset, I'll try this, I don't know if it works. I can't select more. Okay, so 1.54, tab, enter. I'll do the same here. repeat offset minus 1 point. Just going to watch whether it's plus or minus to make sure you get the right direction. And then finally this one here. And repeat offset and minus 1.54. Okay. Does moan that I've already selected an offset there. And it won't let me do that. So the reason for that is because this line here is already an offset from the outer edge. What it's saying is it's already been offset, do it from the original. It's just a bit of a pain, but you just got to wrestle with it. So actually I can take it from there. I can repeat offset. So if I take that to there, which was minus 18 if you remember, and all I'll do it is 19.54. So I've just added the 1.54 onto that. Click OK, and now what I've got is I've got the gap there that I'm going to actually make the detail on. Obviously, that's only on one of the triangles. So if I click that one, press the Shift key, select that, and click Sketch and circular pattern. I can do exactly the same as what I did with the other detail, and just do 6 copies of those. Okay, so now you've got, or you could have done offset of the lines, however you wanted to do it, but now you've actually got the detail. As you can see, it's very kind of over sketched, but what we're trying to do is get the actual extrusion or the cut into the body so that we've got that detail of the patterns that we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select that one. And so I'm zooming in and pressing the Shift key so I can multiple select, and I'm just selecting all of the relevant bits. You'd have to select the little diamond shapes, but hey, obviously if you sketch the sketch perfectly and you just do single lines, you don't have to do that, but I find this way to be a lot quicker getting the detail that I want. And I'm not I mean, people do say how quickly I kind of knock these models out, and it's because I do lots of quick shortcuts like this, because I'm ultimately trying to just produce the lump of printable plastic at the end, and not necessarily a perfectly defined sketch and model. There's lots of YouTube stuff on how you do professional type designs, but so that's not me. So I'm just going around here now, just selecting the gaps. You can do these one by one, or you can select them all at once. I'm kind of lazy. It doesn't always pay off, because sometimes I miss the Shift key and then I have to go around and select them all again, which is painful. But fingers crossed when I'm doing the video this will work. If not, I'll just pause it, do it, and then we can get cracking again. So press pull minus 1.54, and what that should do is, and that's us saying out a new body, which is interesting. Okay, let's, interestingly enough, it's actually, right. Yes, okay, so this is a problem, and the reason, you can see where I'm extruding now. What's extruded is simply thin lines. You see those rather than solid blocks, which is why it's not cutting the detail into there. Okay, now I'll show you why that is. It's a weird thing with Fusion. So if I select just an area, press pull minus 1.54, okay, that's now, as you can see, that's cut my line detail in there. It's also hidden sketch, as you know, so we'll just bring that back in. Now if I select line detail, press Shift key and select a single line, and I press pull, what it actually does is it extrudes that single line into a that isn't a body, that's just a skin almost. So what I'm going to do is cancel out of that. So when you're selecting the curves, what I'd actually done is I selected 2, and then with the Shift key I'd selected an edge. So I'm going to hit pull. As you can see, as soon as you select one edge, it makes everything into an edge and not a solid body. So just watch out for that. Just, you know, at least you know why it happens now. I sort of remembered that, sorry, when I did it, but I just ignored it. So press pull minus 1.54. Minus 1.54. Right. And there you go. So you can start to see the detail. So I'm just going to pause the video now, as I said I would do if it cocked up, which obviously it has done. And then we will then resume the video when we've actually done all of the work as we've done there. So you can see all of those recesses are now complete. If I hide the sketches, we now have that pattern on the top. So I've got some detail now for the top of there. We've kind of got the main body sort of done. And what I'm going to do now is I'm probably just going to add a little bit of detail to one of these panels. Again, I think we covered this on the last video, but what we effectively do is we create a plane, we draw on the plane, and then we start to create some stuff. So if I click sketch, if I construct, I want to make a plane across 3 points. I'll select that corner, and finally that corner. Click OK, and now I've got a plane which I can sketch on that's at the right angle. I'll do a sketch project because I'm a little bit lazy onto that, and I might just do this face here. Okay, and then what I might do is just yet again do a offset. Pull that in, there you go. So that gives us a, might do a -18 and do the same again. Sketch, offset, -19.54. Hit stop sketch. There we go. Right. So now you can see I've got a little bit of detail for the panel. It kind of goes in a little bit at the top as well, which I'm going to keep as that little quirky detail on the overall model. So what I'll do this time is modify split body, split the dome on the outer line. So it cuts it like that. And then modify split body, split the inner part yet again, which is on that inner line. The splitting body is that inner line. There we go. Hide the sketches, and now what I want to do is just pull this bit back. -1.54. There you go. And there we've got another little bit of panel detail if we so wish. So it lets you kind of add a bit of detail on the panels. Modify, combine that body with the inner bit with the outer bit, all on a join. Click OK, and then it becomes one solid piece again. So as you can see now, we're starting to get a little bit more panel detail. As I said, there's all sorts of stuff that you can do on these. You'll notice on that cut, it's done a cut through at the back, so you're always just going to watch out for things like that. That's just literally where we projected the cut. So I'll combine those together. Okay, just tie the model back up. So now I should be a single dome, which I am. So, and then obviously I think that part there is separate, isn't it? Yeah, which we did last time for the hollow projectors. Okay. So what we've got here now is we've kind of got the beginnings of a dome. I can add another little bit of detail into some of the panels, which I'll do. But again, what I'll do is I'm going to repeat what I did on here. I might draw some lines just to kind of segment it up a little bit, but effectively it'll be similar, just to add a little bit of detail on, say, one of those back panels. As I said, this one is more of a tutorial type of dome, so the look and feel of it you might want to tweak or change, and what I'm trying to do is just give you some the base model so you can play with it, plus the tools so that you can tweak it. So I'm just going to pause the video and add a little bit of detail so you don't have to watch me repeating the same thing. And there we go. So all I've done really is added just a couple of panels around just to give it a little bit more detail. Okay, right, so I think if you remember correctly what we've got here, and we've got a couple of extra objects I've just pulled in just to, as a point of reference on previous models that I've done, but let me just take you through some stuff. So what we've got now is I've got a ring here, which I'm just going to hide, and then I've got the body, the hollow frame, the dome, and the rear of that hollow frame there. So what I'm left with here now, as you can see, is just a single piece. I'll also get rid of the radar eye. So the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to add, what I'll do is I'll just delete my sketches that we've got as well. What I'm going to do is I want to add now a base ring, something that we can bolt the lower rings onto. What I've done actually is I've just imported the 7-piece lower ring that I frequently use as a base of these models. So I've got one of these as a design. I'll leave it in the STL, so in the Fusion file. So if you want to have it as reference, you can do. But this just means I don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to hole positions and things, and circular positions. So I'll look at the bottom of that. What I'm going to do now, first of all, is I want to just do a sketch so I can see where that ring will be on this plane. So I'm going to put a bit of I'm basically going to put a inner plate which we can bolt things onto. So we click sketch and circle with a center diameter, and I'm just going to select, as you can see, I'm going to select this inner face here. I'm going to select the center of the dome as starting point for the circle. And what I'm going to do then is just pull that out just to that inner bit there on that ring. As you can see, yep, just to there, like that. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll hide those rings there. I'm going to hit stop sketch. So now you can see, I've actually got this piece here. And that, all I'm going to do is extrude that up. So if I right click, press pull, and do a -4, make it 4mm thick. And it automatically selects cut because it's hit a solid body. I'm just going to click that to join so it becomes part of that frame. Click OK, and there you go. So now what you've got, if you can see it through that little window there, but what you've got is you've got this kind of flat piece here that when we print it, it will be able to connect to the lower ring. Okay. And then what I'm going to do simply then is bring the lower ring on, bring that lower ring back, go to the bottom, and what I want to do now is just put these bolt holes in. So the way we do that again is sketch, project, include, hit that plate, and then you can literally just go around the model highlighting all of those holes like so. I mean, there's other ways you can do this. I mean, the original way that I did this was to draw a circle and rotate and then use a mirror to create lots of them around here. But obviously this just keeps it matched up with the previous models that I've got. So if somebody wants to use any of the rings or combine the rings, they're all compatible. It's also kind of a lazy way of modelling because I'm just reusing other parts, but luckily R2 generally has these same dimensions for the lower rings anyway, because equally I think the guys at LucasArts in the dim and distant past effectively reused virtually everything that they could do, so it makes all our lives a little bit easier. So all I've done there now, if I hide those lower rings, as you can see, I've projected all the holes that we need on there, and then literally what I'm going to do now is just go round, highlight one, press pull, and just pull it through. You know, just make sure it doesn't hit the actual dome, but there we go. Click OK, and what that does is it gives you the hole, and then you just repeat that all the way around, which I will do again. I know, so you'd have to watch all this. I'll just pause it until I've done all that, and you'll pretty much see that we have. So now what I've got here is I've got a bunch of holes that, if we look at that where the rings are, you can see the holes match the rings pretty much all the way around. It's always worth just flicking them on a couple of times to make sure I've not missed a hole, which can happen sometimes, particularly when you're pulling lots of holes through. So all there, and all that. Yep. So there you go. I mean, pretty much that is it. What we could do now is we can simply rename this to R4 Dome Full, and that effectively gives you a fully printable R4 dome. It will theoretically probably print in a single print. There are some kind of model issues that I can see with this when you come to print it, one of which will be this area here, because you've got quite a chunky bridge across that. So when you're printing everything up to there, it'll work. The other bit of a pain with the domes is these kind of overhangs here, because there's a print up to here and there's an overhang. You'll probably see on some of my models that what I do is I insert little support structures that pre-built in there to provide, so that if you are printing it, it's already got the support. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you how we add those, and I'll add that to some of the models, and then at least it kind of gives you again a little bit of a flavour. So the way we add those is, first and foremost, is by kind of drawing one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just use something called inspect and sectional analysis. Now just follow me through this. What sectional analysis allows you to do is it allows you to select a face or an area. I'll just select one just to show you. So I'll select this bottom ring, for example. When you select it, you get this kind of thing, and you can drag this plane up and down, but as you drag it, you see it cuts the model away. And that's really so that you can start to look at the inside of your model. You can look for defects, you can start to see how things build up. There's all sorts of stuff you can use that for. So I'm just going to escape out of that. So where I would use that in this particular instance is I'm now going to do inspect sectional analysis. I'm just going to select this plane here, so whatever it is, Y plane or whatever. What that does effectively is it shows me, it doesn't cut your model, it's literally hiding half of it. But what it does do is I can now see a cross section of that cut, which is really useful if I'm trying to create a structure that will support that during printing a tiny structure. So what I'll do is I'll go into Sketch, I'll show you just how we do that. So I always start with Project, then at least I can get some of the pictures that's on there. I know it's on this plane, so I'm going to select this plane where I want to project, and then I'm going to go into this area here. Quite zoom in quite a lot. What I want to do is I want to grab this face here. So what I'm just going to select that ring and give me that line. There we go. Click OK. And then if I go into Sketch Line, I can now draw that to that. Okay. Now this is kind of where you need to have a bit of an understanding of how 3D printers work and get a feeling for how you're going to have to position these. So this, remember, is only 1.54mm. So the kind of ideal structure to support this is probably that kind of like that. So if this prints out a little thin in that shape, it will then give us enough support for bridging, because I'm going to do a few of these. However, if I weld it in there, it becomes a real sort of filing exercise. So with all supports that you see in 3D printers, they leave a little bit of a gap. And a lot of that depends on the layer lines, but typically I would do .3 or .4 gap from the top. So what we do is I can first of all draw a line where I want it to go, which is to there, like that. And then what I'll do, as we've seen previously, I'll just use the offset just to select that line. I'm just going to pull it down here to do a minus .1, so you can see. Because when you do the minus .4, there's a big chunky gap on that, but actually this is less than a 0.5 millimeter gap. So I'm going to click OK with that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw a line from that corner there. Whoops. Draw a line from that corner there to that corner there. So now that gives me a bit of plastic that will support that, albeit it looks like it won't do. And then what I want to do is make sure that this is actually connected to this in some way. So I'm just going to draw a line down to the bottom, and then the connection piece I am going to draw. I'll show you what we'll do here. We'll draw this up to about, now again, you've got to think about the width. The width of the nozzle is 0.4, so if you do 0.5, what you tend to get is something that the nozzle, when you print it, the slicer won't sort of get rid of. And then I'm just going to reconnect that to say something like that. There you go. And then because it's building into the actual model, it doesn't matter. I just push it to there. What I'm trying to do is just create a solid area. There we go. Okay, I'll stop sketch. So where's my sketches gone? There you go. So what I've got now is I've got this kind of a support, which when you look on the face of it, there you go. Okay, I can now create and extrude that, and I'll make it, again, think about the nozzle is 0.4, so if you make that 0.6 as it, and then there's a new body, it's 0.6, okay, alright. And there you go, it's created. You can't see that at the moment because of the section analysis, so if you turn the section analysis off, you can then see, there's my tiny support. It's gone, there it is. There we go. Okay. Now again, what we're going to do is just pull that out a little bit. Just pull it out by 0.2. Just so it does cover the edge of that. Okay. Okay, so there's your support. And then what I'm going to do with that support is, if we click on that body, I'm going to create, again, very similar pattern, circular pattern, similar to what we do with sketches, but you can do it with real objects. Click the axis, and then the axis, I'm just going to click any edge of the, any circular edge of the dome, so I'll click, there you go. Okay. Now that's going to create 3 of them, which isn't going to provide a lot of support, so what I'll probably do is, we'll start off with 30 and see what the gap is. Okay, and this is just really by eye more than anything to think, okay, is that okay for a bridge? So I might do that to 50. Now this can slow your computer down when you start to do this, and it's unfortunate thing. 54, let's do 60. Okay. This does mean obviously when you're modelling, so you look at that now, what you've got is you've now got a support model in line for that, for all of that area. Okay. And then effectively what you actually do then is you repeat it for other details that you want to add. So as you can see, we've got kind of some of these on the rings. You'll have some of this on this top piece here, and some of these at the top. Literally once you've done that, what you can do then is combine those back into the model and export them as an STL. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pretty much finish off the video, and I'll do some of the work in the background, and then what I will do is, as part of this video, is the piece that I'm going to export, the piece that I'll save on the Fusion, and the piece that I'll export will be the one with all of those individual pieces done for the different kind of levels and things. They're all fairly straightforward. To get some of them in, you may have to create slightly different planes so that you can cut the dome at the right part, or you can just draw a line and literally cut the dome to be able to draw the image to create the support. But I'll pop all the supports on it, and then hopefully what we'll do is we'll publish the 1-part dome. The other element of the dome on this particular one, now this could, what I might do this is actually for two reasons, to be honest, is if you look at that top of that dome, imagine if you're printing this as a single print, when you come to print that top piece, it will actually, that's a fair old bridge at the top. I could put some internal supports on that so that it would do it, or what I could literally do is slice the dome off, so you print the outer dome as one piece and you drop that top piece on top of there. The way I would do that typically would be to start to put some triangles on the inside, which would provide almost a triangular structure so that you get some bridging in place. So it's not too big of a job really. So I can potentially just quickly show you that while we're going through it. So just deleted the old sketches, but yeah. So what I would want to do is, let me just hide those origins. Where's the origins gone? There we go. There we go. Right. So first of all, what am I going to draw down from? So sketch, project. I'm just going to draw on the inside of here now. There we go. Right, and then I'm just going to draw a line from the very centre of the dome to there. This you'll see this is very similar, to be honest, to a lot of the things that we do. Line to there, right. And then once I've done that line, what I'm going to do is sketch, offset that line, and we'll just do this an offset of 1 mil, and then just do another offset of 1 mil. There we go, and then delete the centre line. So I've basically got 2 mil support that's going to come out from there. Okay. Then what I'll do is, so that I can extrude that, I'm just going to click the ends off that way, and again do the same on this side like that, and then hit stop sketch. So what that gives me now, hopefully, hide the body, is it gives me an area that I can select. There you go. So I'm just going to select that whole piece. There we go. And I'll just extrude it somewhat. I don't know how much I'm going to extrude it. Sorry, I've not got the bodies hidden, so I'll put the bodies back in. And I'm going to extrude it as a new body. There we go. So you can see now what we're doing is we're going to pull that back down to probably about there. We'll call it 94 mil. So a lot of this isn't the science, it's a matter of looking at what sort of angles you think you'll get away with as you start to print. Inside's not going to be visible anyway, so I'm not bothered about it being pretty. Extrude its new body. Okay, right. Hide the dome, so now I've got a new body, and what I want to do is grab this end here, and I want to pull that so it fits right outside like that. And I'll show you why I'm going to do that. So bring the main dome back. Where did I do the dome? Dome full, there we go. Right, so now you can see that might provide some of the support. And then finally what I want to probably do is just trim off a piece. So I want to draw a line from that corner there, and I want it to come right out to just where that hits there, like that. Okay, and what that will allow me to do, and I think again my sketches are probably hidden. Where are they? Top sketch. Oops, I've drawn that on a ridiculous plane. Let me just redo that. L. So I'll select that plane to draw the line. There we go, it's better. I want it from that very corner, I think. And I want it to come out to, say, about there, like that. So click. Stop sketch. There we go. Okay. Right, again, hide the dome. Where's the dome? Where's the dome? Dome, body. Yep, hide the dome. There we go. And then modify, split body. I think select that line there. It's just a fairly fairly kind of tight angle for an overhang, but we're not bothered about the neatness of it. It's just to provide some support for that centerpiece, so we're not just trying to print that completely in thin air. So what we want to do now is remove that piece. Okay, so we'll bring back the overall dome. There we go. And then what I want to do is create pattern mirror, circular pattern again. Highlight that as an object. The axis, any circular part, so we'll just use the outside of that. and we want 6 of them. And you can see what we're doing now is we're creating the support for the, okay, so now that's 4 things that come in and they will support that dome. You can see what we've got here is we've got these that stuck on the outside, so we do need a little bit of trimming. So modify split body, white one, and select that little curved face as a splitting tool. Does that allow me to do it? No, it doesn't. Okay, so the next approach we can do, I'll just hide the dome. What I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to make this one object. So modify, combine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now that is one object. I'm going to bring the dome back. Dome, there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy of the dome. So right click copy, right click paste, and what that's done is it created 2 domes. I can move that dome if I wanted to, but I want it in exactly the same place. I'm going to hide the original dome. So what I've got, if I zoom right down to the bottom, is I've now got 2 objects. I've got a copy of that dome, and I've got that fin piece there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the 2. And I'm going to combine the fin piece first, because that's the object I want to keep, and then the dome as a second piece. But what I'm going to do is click cut, and what I'm trying to do here is to remove parts of that dome, which it is not letting me do. Okay, now this is because of the complexity of my model and where I'm trying to join the 2 together. So I will take another approach. This is the fun of Fusion, yay, is that sometimes you've got to mess around with the damn thing to get the thing to work. So we'll take another, and this is a way of problem solve. We'll take another approach. So what I'm going to do this time, actually, I'm going to sketch, project. I'm going to project on this face here, and I want to get this curve. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is sketch a line, at least a guideline where it'll be. On normal selection, if I click bodies, I can select just the edge of this, the whole body onto that. So I'll do that. Click OK, and I'll just show you what that's actually done. Let me just hide the dome. So all I'm going to try to do is just do a cut line, really. Where's the dome? There we go. Oops. Oh, we've got 2 domes, haven't we now? So it's getting all messy. It's getting all messy. Right, I had the dome. So there you go. That's given us a cut line, which you can see here. So what I'm going to do is modify split body. And select that, just that line there. And that's giving more errors. Ah, right. Okay. I'm just going to draw a line over the top of that, like that. See? And then what I'll do is I'll just get rid of this thing. There we go. And I'm just going to try now splitting that body with that piece there. Okay, there we go. Right, so I've got what I need now. And then I'll just get rid of that fin. So what I want to do now is just yet again trim this back. So I'm going to split body, just select that face like that, modify split body, and I'll select that face like that. I'll tell you what I'm doing in a second. So what I want to do is I've got one piece here that will fit within that dome virtually. So what I'm trying to do is just go back so I can recreate that. That rotate that modify split body that, and I will select just this face here. There we go. Right, and then I'll get rid of that one. Okay. So now what I've got is I've gone back, and there's a couple of weird pieces that float in the air, so I'll get rid of those. So what I've got now, if I bring the dome back, is I've actually got that fin on the inside that goes into the plastic and fits in slightly extruding past the outside there. So I'm just going to pull that back into the, just so it's inside the dome. There we go. So, and what I'm hoping to do, fingers crossed, is I can hit modify, combine the outer dome with that one. Oops. So that it will actually become part of this body. Now, for whatever reason, when I combine that with that, it disappears because it's got a non-consistent edge facing. And the reason for that is that weird little corner piece there, I think. The joys of Fusion. How do we get around that? Is that corner piece is probably where it's causing the most problems. So the quick way of getting rid of that is just to grab that and not let that join that corner piece. So you can see this is Fusion wrestling to try and get it to do what I want it to do. What I want to do is try and make that corner not touch that weird little edge. So something like that. And now let's try and modify, combine that and that. There we go. So now that will do. This Fusion can be incredibly frustrating in some of these things. What that means is that when it'll actually print, it'll print that bit up to that plastic and then it'll just do an extra little bit of a bridge, but I know that'll work. So, but at least we get there. So then finally modify or create pattern, circular pattern. That I'll try it once. Let me just get these done and I'll try and explain just what has happened there. 6 of those. Okay, right, there we go. So where have they gone? Why did that not let me create pattern, circular pattern? I want that piece. I want the axis to be that inner edge there. And I want 6 of those. There we go, right. And then what I'll do is I'll modify, combine, so it's that, 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 that. So it's just one dome, 6 combined, okay. And there we go, right. So now when I print that, that's got the supports. Yeah, so what kind of happens is sometimes when you do all sorts of weird little pulls and edges and things, you end up with parts of your bottom model which are not perfect. So it's kind of like that. And then what I was trying to do, I was trying to weld something into this weird little edge, which the reality is to create a perfect mesh. You want to be able to fix those, but in most cases they will print perfectly okay. But sometimes when you're modelling, it can just give you a bit of a wobble. So what I did there is I just pulled the plastic back a little bit so that it wasn't touching that, so it's not going to complain. Basically, it's kind of like saying to Fusion, shut up and stop moaning. Now, just looking at this then, what you've got to kind of also watch out for is when you're starting to add extra details, is that it doesn't start to clash with any of the other parts, the rear hollows or the hollow projector that you put in there. So there's quite a bit of space in there to play around with. So I'm fairly comfortable with that as an overall model. Yep, so that gives me the support for that top bit. So when I print this out, then it'll have these bridging lines here. It's got some points to be able to bridge in. So because I've got 6mm of plastic, it'll be fairly tidy that to be able to do this as a single print. All I've really got to do now is add detail around the edge, detail around these edge and details, so they're just the little support things there, which is going to be tediously boring, so I'm not going to record those. So what I'll do is I'll get those done, I'll get this saved as a Fusion model, and then it's entirely printable for those that have got the really big wide format printers. I guess the next video that I will do is then how we cut this up into a boltable kind of dome, which I think you've seen before. So creating these kind of joins, you know, so that we put some fins on the inside and we cut it up appropriately so it'll fit. And that's always a challenge, because typically if I'll just sketch a 200 by 200 cut just to try to show you the scale. On your 200 by 200 printer, that's your, whoops, there you go. That's your sketch there. It just shows you how big the print bed is. So if you kind of move that around, it means that this particular model is going to have to be printed in 2 segments, 2 sections, or circular sections with bits. So what you're going to do is kind of cut it in the middle, apply the fins, find some ways of joining the top to the bottom, so it can be done in multiple sections. And then from a top perspective, you've obviously then got the same challenge of the 200 by 200 print, which, you know, that top piece probably won't print. So it's just trying to slice things up so it fits on the print size bed, which I'll do on the next video, which shouldn't take too long. Okay, so as always, thanks for watching. Hopefully this now gives us a printable model for those that have got the big printers. And then on the final, I'm hoping is the final video, what we'll do is we'll tidy this up. I will add the ring files. I may just end up repurposing the ones that I've done already, because effectively they're quite easy to do, but I will cover off some of the things like the basic joints, etc. So thanks for watching, and happy printing, designing and all that kind of stuff.